Hello, good morning everyone. So what I'm going to discuss today, this is my first video. So I want to discuss about the most common complication during hemodialysis or during the treatment of our patient, which is hypotension. Sorry. So understanding hypotension is complex. So around 5 to 40% of patients will develop hypotension during their treatment. And again, understanding the pathophysiology or what causes the development of hypotension is complex. So at least you will try to understand about it today. So first, we need to understand the fluid dynamics of our body. So as a human being, our body is composed of or our total weight is composed of fluid. Majority is fluid. So around 60% of our weight is fluid and 40% is solid. So including your bones, muscle, and tissues. So it accounts only for 40%. So therefore, there is more fluid compared to solids in our body with regards to our weight. So this 60% of fluid inside our body is subdivided into different compartments. Like for example, 2/3 of it is intracellular compartment, while 1/3 is extracellular. So meaning to say there are more fluid within the membrane of the cells, so within the cells. This 1/3 of fluid in the extracellular compartment, it is subdivided into whether it is located interstitially or intravascularly. So interstitial fluid accounts for 80% of this 1/3 of extracellular fluid, and only 20% is within our vasculature, within our arteries and veins. So like for example, if your patient weight weight gain, and if the patient gains 4 liters, so we would assume that only that this 4 liters is not located directly in the intravascular space, and majority of it is located in the intracellular compartment and interstitium or inside the tissue. So for example, the patient gains 4 liters. So it would be around 1.5, let's just say 1.5 liters is within the intravascular space. And the remainder is inside the tissue or interstitial space or inside the cells. Okay. What governs the movement of this fluid inside our body is what we call as the Starling's forces. So Starling's forces maintains the balance between the movement of fluid from interstitial to intravascular or from intravascular to interstitial space. So we have the hydrostatic pressure, which is generated by our heart. Every time our heart contracts or during myocardial contraction, every time our heart beats, so it generates a force which we call as hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic. So this hydrostatic pressure will push the water or will push the blood, will push the water into the tissue. So as we know, those patients who are hypertensive or those patients who are having fluid congestion, for example, or gaining weight, they have increased hydrostatic pressure because their arteries and vein or their vascular space or intravascular space is congested. So with that, we will notice that the patient or the person will develop edema. Why? Because he has increased hydrostatic pressure that pushes the water into the tissue. And what pulls that water from the tissue into the intravascular back into the intravascular space is the oncotic or osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. So this osmotic pressure will pull the water from the tissue or will draw the water from the tissue into the intravascular space, which is most likely generated by albumin. So we need albumin to pull that water from the tissue into the intravascular space. That's the reason behind for those patients who waste protein in the urine, like for example, if they suffer from nephrotic syndrome or acute glomerulonephritis, or those who are pregnant who suffers from preeclampsia, or those who are with protein malnutrition, for example, like Kwashiorkor or marasmus. So you will notice that those people or those person are developing edema. For what reason? Because they don't have enough albumin to pull that water from the interstitial space into the intravascular space. So what do you mean by this? We need to have a balance between hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure in order to maintain fluid homeostasis inside the body. So now, why do the patient during dialysis develop hypotension? So the number one cause of this is increased ultrafiltration rate compared to plasma refill rate, PRR. What do you mean by PRR, or the plasma refill rate? So it is the movement of water from interstitial space into the intravascular space. And remember, this PRR is very slow. Around the average is around 4.2 ml per kg per hour. So it is most likely around 300 to 400 ml per hour. So like, for example, the one I mentioned earlier, if the patient gains, for example, 4 liters, if the patient gains 4 liters, for example, so most of the fluid, again, by the fluid dynamics, so majority of the fluid is located intracellularly and interstitially compared to intravascular and extracellular space. So like, for example, the fluid intravascular is only 1.5 liters, and there is 2.5 liters located in the interstitial space or in the tissue. So if you are going to remove 4 liters by 4 hours, so our UF rate per hour will be around 1 liter per hour. What we are removing freely during ultrafiltration or during fluid removal during the treatment of our patient are those fluid located in the intravascular space. So imagine 1 liter per hour. After 2 hours, we already removed the fluid from the intravascular space. And that's the reason behind most of the hypotensive episode will happen after 2 hours. You get it? So again, we know that the majority of the fluid is located in the intracellular space and in the interstitial space, or in the interstitial compartment. So if the patient gains 4 liters, for example, so our hourly rate will be around 1 liter per hour. And knowing that the majority of the fluid is located in the interstitial space, so 1.5 liters, for example, is located in the intravascular space, and 2.5 of the water gained by the patient is located in the interstitial space. So what happened is, after 2 hours of ultrafiltration or fluid removal, we already removed all the fluids from the intravascular space. And remember what I told you about the PRR? The PRR is very slow, around the average rate is around 4.2 ml per kg per hour. So it's around 300 to 400 ml per hour for those patients who are in average weight. So we remove already the fluid from the intravascular space. And what happens is, the movement of fluid from the interstitial space into the intravascular space is very slow. And that's the reason behind, after 2 hours, most likely the patient will develop hypotension. Okay? So that's why, as I told you earlier, the number one reason for patients who develop hypotension during dialysis is the high UFR or high ultrafiltration rate compared to plasma refill rate. I know that we have this, we have what we call as the as the max UF. For example, if your center or unit adapts 13 ml per kg per hour as your max UF. So for an average patient who weighs around 70 kilograms, the max UF will be around 3.6. So if the max UF of the patient is 3.6 and you will do dialysis for 4 hours, so the rate will be around 910 ml per hour. So looking at looking to where the fluid is located between compartments. Like for example, the water inside the vascular space is around 1.6. The remainder fluid, which is 2 kilos, 2 liters, is located in the interstitial compartment or within the tissue. I'm sorry for the pen, it's not working well. 2.0. So if you are going to remove 910 ml per hour, so most likely after 2 hours, we already removed the fluid from the intravascular space, and this is already max UF. Okay? So that's the reason behind after 2 hours, most likely the patient will develop hypotension. And there are studies, or there are research studies, that the safest rate for ultrafiltration is around 8 to 10 ml per kg per hour. So this will be the best, or at least there will be a lesser occurrence of hypotension with using this weight or adapting this max UF 8 to 10 ml per kg per hour. Okay. So another thing, so if you are going to talk about early occurrence of hypotension during dialysis, like for example, after 30 minutes or after 1 hour of dialysis, the patient develops hypotension. So it is not that common actually, but it occurs. For what reason? Because another reason or another cause of intrahepatic hypotension is a decline in osmolality, which is more pronounced or more common to patients who are diabetic. Like for example, remember that albumin is the one that controls, or that the number one factor for your osmotic pressure is your albumin, right? Albumin pulls the water from the tissue into the intravascular space or from intracellular space into the extracellular space, expanding your fluid volume inside the vasculature or the vascular space. Urea plus your, for example, your urea and your glucose in diabetic, for example, is already a part of your osmotic gradient. So, okay, they are already a part of your osmotic gradient. So what happens is, for example, during the early hours of dialysis, there is increased or high diffusion rate. Why? Because diffusion is higher when the other compartment is concentrated. Like for example, this is your blood compartment, in which what happens is it is concentrated with urea and other other solutes, for example, like glucose. During the first 2 hours of dialysis, there is increased clearance of this solute. So what will happen is there will be a change in osmotic gradient that will lead to decreased osmotic gradient within the intravascular space compared to interstitial space. Like for example, your sodium here during the first hour before dialysis is 140, and 140 also in the interstitial space, or your glucose here is 110 and 110 in this compartment or inside the cell or wherever compartment. And during the first hours of dialysis, you drop the glucose or the urea or the sodium into 130, for example. The glucose drops into 195, for example. Or urea drops from 100 to 70, for example. There is lesser concentration of solute in the intravascular space or extracellular compartment that will lead to fluid transfer from intravascular to interstitial space, or from extracellular compartment into the intracellular compartment, leading to fluid depletion. So that is the most likely cause of hypotension during the early stage of dialysis, or the early hours of dialysis, or early hours of treatment. It is because of the change in osmolarity, or the serum osmolarity. Why? Because of increased clearance of solute. There is a study actually that compares the clearance of glucose, the sodium, and urea. So they concluded that there is really a decrease in osmolarity or osmotic gradient during the early stage of dialysis that leads to fluid shift. from intravascular to interstitial, from extracellular to intracellular compartment. Then another possible reason of intradialytic hypotension is sequestration. Number 3 is sequestration or fluid sequestration, or we call it the splenic nerve dilation sequestration or splenic nerve. I forgot the spelling. Splenic nerve dilation. What is splenic nerve? So a splenic nerve is the abdominal mesentery. So abdominal mesentery, for example, are inside our abdomen. Like for example, by the time we are going to eat, so most likely our abdominal mesentery or splenic nerves inside our abdominal cavity will dilate for digestion and absorption of the food that we eat. So what will happen if your abdominal mesentery will dilate after eating? What will happen is there will be lesser blood volume in the circulation because it was sequestered within the abdominal cavity or abdominal mesentery. That will lead to decreased circulatory volume that will eventually contribute to intradialytic hypotension. And that's the reason behind, according to Kidney Dialysis Outcome Quality Initiative, that it is advised or they recommended that the patient, those patients that are risk for developing hypotension during dialysis should be instructed to avoid eating, or at least advise the patient, those patients who are at risk for developing hypotension during dialysis, not to eat during dialysis. For what reason? Because of splenic nerve dilation or sequestration of blood volume into the abdominal cavity for this digestion and absorption of food or absorption of nutrients. Then the other reason for this intradialytic hypotension is the temperature or vasodilation. Vasodilation, like for example, the patient is on sepsis, for example. Of course, we know that during sepsis, the body or the immune system or immune response secretes inflammatory cytokines or even prostaglandins, interleukins, bradykinins, for example, all of which are vasodilator that leads to decreased blood pressure. Another cause of vasodilation is actually the temperature of the machine. So if we give higher temperature of dialysis, if we increase the temperature of the dialysate, so what will happen is the blood that is returning to the patient is much warmer compared to the core body temperature of the patient, leading to vasodilation.